In this video, I'm going to show you how to create skills in Claude Code, Codex, and Cursor, and just sharing a little bit of information about why skills are so important, and then showing you how I use them in my workflow. So if you take a look at skills, okay, skills are very simple. Literally, a skill is just a very simple MD file with instructions that allows Claude or Codex to use that particular set of instructions in your workflow. So if I zoom out here, I want to show you just how I'm using skills in Claude Code. So if I do /skills, you can see some of the skills that I'm using. Okay, so for example, I have a BridgeMind copywriting skill. I'm using the impeccable skill for UI designs, which is a free skill that you should use for UI designs. I'm using the Vibe Academy copywriting skill, and then I'm also using hyperframes skills for marketing videos. But really, you need to be using skills when you want a repeatable set of tasks done. So how you can create a skill is you can literally just ask your agent to create that skill for you. So for example, watch this. I'm going to type in a little bit of information. This is my AWS profile on this machine, and I want you to create a new skill called AWS or BridgeMind AWS, which is the AWS profile skill that should be used to access the BridgeMind AWS account. Review this and create a robust skill. So that's literally what I'll say, and it'll create a skill for this. I don't have to write it myself. I will typically use skills for this. Claude Code is bugging out here. Look at this. But it's going to create this skill, okay? And what we're going to be able to do with this skill, I'll show you how I use this. I actually already am using this in Cursor, but check this out. In Cursor, it's very nice because once you create a skill in Cursor, you can just do / and then you can just enter that, okay? Then that was actually a command. But with the BridgeMind AWS account, you can see that this is access my AWS account via the AWS CLI using the BridgeMind CLI AWS profile on this computer. So whenever I'm trying to actually, let's say, monitor a deployment or access my AWS account, I'll just do that / command, and that gives the agent full access of my AWS account so I can manage cloud infrastructure. Having something like that, like an infrastructure skill, is very useful because you can store the way that the agent is able to access your cloud infrastructure. And then from that point forward, you can just reference that skill whenever you need to watch a deployment or ship something. And it makes it very simple so that you don't have to continue prompting the agent, because if you don't give the agent a skill, it doesn't know how to do that unless you prompt the agent to do that. So by creating skills, you basically create sets of instructions that you can use repeatedly. So for example, skills can also improve Claude Code or whatever coding agent you're using out of the box. So like I showed you guys, one of the best skills that I use for design, and there's that AWS skill that was created, but one of the best skills for design is impeccable. So the impeccable skill, you can see that this skill is currently turned on. Okay, if you don't know what impeccable is, this is a design framework skill. So for example, let's go over to Vibe Academy UI, and all I have to do is I'm going to say, I want you to use the impeccable skill and do a complete audit of the design of my website with 10 deep dive agents using the impeccable skill. So I'll give it this prompt, and I can basically audit my entire website using the impeccable skill. So rather than me having to write this super robust prompt with all of these best practice design principles that I want to integrate, instead, I'm just using the impeccable skill, which has a bunch of instructions and information about how to create really good UI designs. And I'm able to just prompt Claude Code to use that skill that's pre-built to improve the design of my website. One really useful website that I highly recommend that you go check out is skills.sh. This is one of the largest skills ecosystems that you can actually go find skills and download skills on. So one of the top skills that I see on the website that I actually have used personally is the front-end design skill. This is a skill that I use to be able to create the initial BridgeMind.ai website. So if you look at this website, this pricing page, for example, was created using that front-end design plugin from Anthropic. And there are a ton of other skills that you can find on this site. Like, for example, let me just try this out. Like, is there a Nest.js skill? Look at this Nest.js best practices skill. It has 22.3 thousand installs. So, if you're using different frameworks and stuff, I'm sure, like, even for example, React Native, can we find a skill on this? So if you were building a React Native app, look at this, React Native, there's a skill here, React Native best practices. So it's a way that when you use skills, you basically get instructions that will really help guide your agent rather leaving them to actually build everything themselves. Because if you are able to kind of like guide your agent a little bit more with an additional set of instructions, for example, like this here, React Native best practices, you're actually going to do a better job because your agent is going to not be left second guessing things, right? It's going to have an additional set of instructions to be able to do things for you. So go check this out, skills.sh. I highly recommend that you go check it out. But really, one of the biggest questions is I get asked a lot, like, hey, what are the top skills that you're using? And for me personally, most of my skills I build myself, like I did just a second ago with that AWS skill. Like, hey, I built that skill because I needed to use a skill for myself. I'm constantly having my agent work in my AWS account. If I have to write that same prompt all the time, then it's going to get annoying and my agent won't actually know, hey, I have this skill where if I need to go update the cloud infrastructure, I can use this AWS profile. But now that I have this skill, for example, let's just do another /skills. Hey, now that I have this whole up, I did skills creator on accident, but now that I have this BridgeMind AWS skill, now my agent is able to know when it's supposed to do that. So I highly recommend that you guys start using skills today if you haven't already. This is one of the best ways that you can actually improve your coding agents when vibe coding. So go check it out. Make sure you start using skills. Go check out skills.sh. And if this was helpful for you, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to Vibe Academy. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.